Hello, Bruno.
Hey, hello everyone. Can you guys
Hello.
hear me well?
Yeah, we do. We hear you well, see you well. So, how are you today?
So good to see you. Oh, we're doing fine, doing fine. Great day today. Awesome to be here on Devoxx Ukraine. Thanks everyone for organizing this awesome event. I've been to Ukraine. I think when I went there was it still called the Java Day in Ukraine? I think it was, right? But uh,
Uh,
I'd love to be here with you. Was I wish I could be there, right, in Ukraine,
we
doing
wish
this
there
because it's
too.
such an awesome, yeah, it was such an awesome experience to be there with you. So thank everyone for inviting me again to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much for supporting our event and giving a talk and participating in the round table. So, I will not steal more time from your presentation. So, the mic is yours. Please start.
Okay, all right, awesome. Um, so let's get going with this. So let me just kind of adjust this thing here. All right. So basically, we're talking here about you know uh, learning faster, right? So let me show this here for you, right? So that's the idea. A lot of people want to learn faster, right? So that's what we want. We want to learn faster, right? To be better, right? To be a better developer, right? So that's kind of the idea. We want to learn faster to be a better developer. But the reason why we want to do this is because we're going to get more results, right? Uh, and I think that it's really really important that we have to think about what results all about, right? And the one thing I want to show you guys here is that really for you to learn faster, for you to be a better developer, better professional, and for you to get more results, it's all about the skills, right? So that is the topic that we're going to talk about today. So we're going to talk about those four things here. And one thing that I want you to think about is that we, right, developers, technical people, we tend to be, Java developers in particular, right, we to be aficionados, right? Maybe about learning, right? We want to learn everything. We're going to learn new technologies. We're going to learn new frameworks. We're going to learn new languages. We're going to learn, all the new version of Java, right? We're going to learn. So that's why when we talk about learn faster, right? So we're going to talk about learning faster. Oh man, so I can learn faster. And then if I can learn faster, that's awesome because I can learn more things, right? But at the same time, we do understand that learning is not the objective, right? Think about it. How many times have you bought a book, right? Or how many times have you bought a training online, right? And you never even opened the book, you never even read it, or you never accessed the training that you bought, right? We fictional about learning, but we understand that just learning is not enough, right? Another thing, how many of you put, how many all the books you read on your resume, right? That's not what you put in your resume. You don't put what you read. You don't put your train. Maybe one or another, but usually you don't put all your trains that you took. You don't put all the videos that you watched on your curriculum, right? What is it you do? You usually put your experience, right? You put your. It's not about learning. It's about your experience, right? And so the one thing that I want to discuss here is right is actually experience doing things, right, is the only way for us to get skills. And I think this is really, really important because we tend to forget that, right? We know that the most important thing is not learning, is experience. But we kind of mix things up by thinking that the more I learn, the more experience I have. And that is not true, right? It's not about learning, it's about creating the right skills, right? And so because skills is so important, we understand how do we acquire skills, right? What is the real way to acquire skills. And so let me just kind of see here, because one thing that I really would love to do is, if you're watching here, really would love to do to see, if you have any questions, right? So I want to make this very, very interactive. So, I'm just going to go to the chat here. So if you're watching me here, I can see the chat at the I think we are on track one, right? So I'm at the chat on track one. So if you can go and ask questions there, so we can make this very, very interactive. It's not about what I have to say; it's about what is your challenge that you're facing right now that I can help you out, right? And I see there's a couple of questions here from Luca, for example, and JCADs, right? Okay, so we're gonna go over this question in a minute. That's awesome. I'm loving this. All right. So basically, and feel free, to ask as many questions as you want there. Okay, so basically, it's all about experience, right? So, and that's one very important thing. It's not about learning; it's about experience. So, it's skills. You only acquire skills by doing. So we have to understand what are skills and how do they work, because a lot of times we kind of confuse what skills are. So let's think about skills for a minute, right? I want to say one thing that lots of people don't think. When we think about skills, we understand, like, for example, if I want to be a soccer player, for example, or I want to be a basketball player, or if I want to be a skateboarder, right? There's a lot of physical skills. We understand that, right? Now I have to have my muscles. I have to, prepare my body so I can actually go and do those things. So there are physical skills, and we think, okay, so those are physical skills, but programming, software development is an intellectual skill. So it's not physical, it's intellectual. But we forget that even the intellectual skills, they are biological. Okay, they are physical in a way because they're biological. The connections in our brains, they're physical connections, right? The cells in our brains, they're physical. I mean, they're like muscles. They're different types of cells, but they go by the same rules of biology. So that's very important for us to understand, because we have to understand that learning is not the objective. The objective is doing. So let's think about how biology works and how biology has to do with skills, right? So, you have in your brain lots of neuron cells, right? You guys know this very well, right? So those are cells like this. You've seen this in your biology studies when you were in high school, for example, right? And if you remember, right, so the neurons, the connections between the neurons are the things that actually makes you a developer, right? It's very cool, right? So how do we actually create those connections? The same way that you have to practice to get muscles, you have to practice to have neurons, right? Software development neurons, Java neurons, right? So how do we create our Java neurons? One thing I want you to understand is that, in this cell here, there's this little thing here that you might have, that you might recall from the drawings when you're a kid, right? Or maybe you've seen this lately or something, right? So this here is called the myelin shaft, right? So this is myelin. Myelin. Come on, what does this have to do with Java? You're gonna see in a minute. I understand. So let's just see in a minute. Myelin is this little it's an insulation barrier, right? So the more myelin you have in your neuron, the faster the electricity travels on the neuron, right? So the more myelin you have in your neuron, the faster energy travels in the neuron. What this has to do with skill? Because the faster electricity passes through your neuron, the faster you think, right? So I just want you to understand, and basically the way it works, right? If you cut this thing here and you see from, you get this thing and look from like this, what you're going to see is that you have the neuron here, the axion, this thing here, right here in the middle, and then you have, the myelin covers around it, right? So basically, when you when you become good at something, your body puts myelin around the neurons so your neurons can run faster, right? And so, and what does faster means, right? That's very, very important. What does faster means? Well, let me tell you what faster means. A neuron with lots of myelin around it can be 100 times faster than a neuron without myelin. 100 times faster. And not only that, it can activate. The time for it to activate is 30 times smaller. So it's 100 times faster, and it can activate again in 30 times, in 1/30th of the time. So you know what this means? Do you understand what 100 times faster? Think about the Java VM. If the Java VM is 100 times faster, right? What does this mean? 100 times faster means magic, right? It's magic. Remember how we call that amazing basketball player? We call him Magic Johnson. Why we call him a Magic Johnson? Because 100 times faster in the brain makes you way better than other people. So much better that other people look at you and say, "That's magic. How can this person do this?" Right? How can he be so fast? How he can do things like this? So that's what you need. So Christina is asking, project counter experience. I'm going to talk about side projects in a minute, Christine. But but the thing is, if you can if side projects, Christina, can help your neurons be faster, then yes, they're going to help your skills. So let's think if they can, right? So what we want is that we want to make our neurons faster, right? I know this is a biology class, but let's think about it. I want you to understand, skills are myelin. Skills are not crazy things. They're like ethereal things, like things that you don't understand. Intellectual skills are myelin in your brain. The more myelin you have, the better skill you have. That's simple like this, even for physical skills, right? Because for you to be able to, throw the ball in the right place in basketball or kick the ball in the right place in soccer, your brain has to be working. There's no such thing as muscle memory. The only memory you have is in your brain. So the neurons that goes from your brain to the tip of your foot, they have to have myelin in it for you to be able to do things in a physical thing. So skills are myelin, right? And why this is important? Because myelin is a biology thing, right? So let's think about it. If everything is biology, right? Let's think about how to do skills. Let me show you the rules of skill achievement. There are 4 rules. There are 4 rules of skill achievement, and they're all grounded in biology. Rule number 1, you have to activate. You have to activate. What does that mean? I can't get stronger. Let's say my muscle, right? I can't, do push-ups with this arm here and my other arm will going to be magically strong. That's not going to happen. The only muscles in my body that will get stronger are the ones that I activate. So if I want a muscle to get stronger, I have to activate the muscle. That's biology. You can't force in your brain like, muscle, get stronger. You can't do that. You have to activate the muscle for it to get stronger. It's the same thing with your brain. You can't get a neuron to be faster. You can't put myelin in a neuron. You can't inject myelin in your blood blood current and then you magically get better. No. You have to activate the right neurons for you to get better. So if you don't activate a neuron, you don't get better. So that's why, Christina, we have to do things, right? If we do things, then we activate the right neurons. So that's the biggest misconception we have. If we read something in the book, let's say I get a book to read something, just to learn. If I read something in the book Am I activating the neurons? Let's say I read something about Java in a book, right? So I'm reading, Java bytecode, right, in a book. So which neurons are being activated? The neurons of doing, of working with Java bytecodes, or the neurons of learning about Java bytecodes? So it's just the neurons of learning, right? So it's not the neurons of, it's just the neurons of reading. They're being activated because those are the ones I'm exercising, right? So if I really want to get a skill, I need to activate the doing neurons, let's say, right? So that's why, of course, some learning is important, right? But for us to get skills, we have to activate the right neurons. So we have to do things, right? And so if you don't activate the neurons, there's no myelin, you don't get better. Okay, so that's the first rule. The second rule of skill achievement, right? You have to force it. Okay, what do I mean by force? Let's think about muscles again, right? Let's say I have this 1 kilo heavy thing here, right? And I want to get muscles in my arm. So I'm going to do like 10 push-ups with this, right? So if I do 10 push-ups with this, and that's good, right? My muscles are going to get better, right? So tomorrow I do 10 push-ups again with 1 kilo. And then after tomorrow, I do 10 push-ups again with 1 kilo. A month from now, 10 push-ups again with 1 kilo. A year from now, 10 push-ups again with 1 kilo. Is my muscle getting better? Is my muscle getting stronger? No, it is not. Why? Because after a week, I'm strong enough to do 10 push-ups with 1 kilo. And then my body doesn't need to improve my muscles anymore. That's the same thing for your neurons. If you don't force your neurons, your brain's not going to put more myelin in it. Your brain only puts myelin on the neurons that are being forced. No force in the neurons, no myelin. So how do you know how to force a neuron? Well, how do you know how to force a brain? You do it more than you are able to do. You do until it hurts, right? But more than that. Very important. You do until it hurts, but not more than that, because you don't want to destroy your muscle, right? So you do it a little bit more. Same thing with the neurons. You have to force it, but how much you have to force it? Look, lots of people say, oh, you have to work outside of your comfort zone. Very problematic this, right? Why? Here's your comfort zone, right? Working outside of your comfort zone, it's outside. Right? And then, when you work outside of your comfort zone, you make a lot of mistakes, right? So if you make too many mistakes, like it's destroying your brain, if you make too many mistakes, that's forcing too much, right? So for us, we want to work on the edge of our comfort zone, right? This is the comfort zone, right? We want to work on the edge of our comfort zone. How do we know we're working on the edge of our comfort zone? We are making mistakes. Mistakes, right? If we're making mistakes, we are working on the edge of our comfort zone. Now, if we have no idea what we're doing, if we're getting everything wrong, we are complete outside of the comfort zone, and that's actually prejudicial, right? It's like pushing your muscle too far. But if you want to improve, you have to work a little on the edge of your comfort zone. You have to make mistakes. If everything you're doing is always right, you never make mistakes, then you're in comfort zone, right? So you have to make mistakes, a little bit of mistakes, but not completely wrong. Okay, so that's the idea. So basically, that's forcing. It's working on the edge of our comfort zone. Make sense? So if you don't force, your body is not going to put myelin around your neurons, and then you're not going to get better. So you have to activate the neurons, but activate them stronger than the easy part. You have to have difficulty of doing it. If you don't have difficulty of doing, then you're not improving. All right. Now the third lesson about the third lesson, or the third the third rule, right? Those are rules. The third rule about skill acquisition, right? It has to be frequent. Okay? Right? You have to do it continuously. Right? So actually continuous could be a better word. We have to do continuously. Continuously. Right? You have to do continuously. What do I mean by doing continuously? Look, let's go back to our muscle again, right? We go to our muscles and we say, okay, I don't have time to do 1 hour of exercise every day. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait to the end of the month, and once a month I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to do 30 hours of exercise at once a month. Will that work? No, it will not work. It will destroy your body, right? And you're not going to have time to increase muscles, right? You're going to have your body completely destroyed, and you're not going to have time to increase your muscles at all. So it doesn't help to just kind of bundle together and do a lot and stop doing, right? You got to keep doing every day, a little bit every day. 5 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day is better than several hours on the weekends, right? 5 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day is better than several hours on the weekend. That's very, very important. So you have to do continuously every single day, right? Every single day. So is this a coding equivalent of doing something every day that scares you? Yes, Alan, that's right. Exactly. So activate, right? Something every day, frequently, right? That scares you. That's a little bit stronger. Right. You're totally right. I love this phrase, Alan. Okay. So the fourth rule of, you got to do it frequently, right? So you got to activate the right neurons stronger every day for you to get the skills. Now, the fourth rule, I just want to tell you this. The fourth rule is a sub-item of rule number 3, right? So let me just do this. It's not four rules. It's actually 3 rules, but a 3.1 here, right? A 3.1 rule is if you stop, you lose it. All right? You know this very well. If you do exercise and you stop exercising your muscles, and you spend like a month not doing any exercise or 2 months not doing any exercise, your muscles all go away, right? All the effort disappears. Same thing for your brain, right? If you stop activating your neurons, things go away. Really, there's a famous musician that would just say, if I stop practicing one day, I notice. If I stop practicing for 2 days, my wife noticed. If I stop practicing for 3 days, the world notice, right? So if you stop, you lose it. So those are the 4 rules of skill acquisition. Any skill, right? You have to apply this. So let's answer some questions here, right? So Christina says mind blowing. So thanks a lot, Christina. Awesome. So think about those 4 rules to acquire skills. It's not about learning. It's about skills. So now let's answer some questions here. So Christina asked, do side projects count as experience, right? Do they help us get skills? So if you do a side project, does it activate your neurons of doing? Yes, it does. Does it forces you? It depends on the project. If you're doing a very easy project, then it doesn't help. Okay, but it's doing a project that's hard, right? Yes, it does forces you. Do you run your side projects for 15 minutes, for 1 hour, for 5 minutes every single day? Christina, if you do this every single day, yes, it helps you, right? So yes, and of course, if you're doing a project, you're not stopping training, right? So basically, yeah, so the 3 rules, remember, those are the 3 rules of skill acquisition, right? So if your project helps you to do that, Christina, yes, it solves you, right? Let me see here. What else? What other question I can answer right now? Mean by learning back end, by trying, practice things that you learn it might help you get the direction skills, isn't it? Yes, exactly, right? If you apply, if you try to look, let me tell you one thing. Let me tell you a story here, right? My friend Oleg, that's here, organized this event, right? Oleg gave me a gift, right? For me, I'm part of the event, so he sent me a gift. He sent me a new video game, right, for me to play on the PlayStation or Nintendo. I don't even know which one I'm going to play on, but he sent me a new game. So right after this talk here, I'm going to go. I'm very excited about this new game. It looks like an awesome game. I'm very, very excited. So what I'm going to do, right after I finish this talk here, I'm going to go and I'm going to read the manual. Right? Is that what I'm going to do? I'm going to read the manual? No way, right? No one's going to read the manual. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go play the game. Look, that's the same thing if you want to do back ends, or you want to do anything about Java, or you want to do anything, cloud computing, or anything you want to do. It's not about reading the manual. It's about going and doing, experimenting. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play the game, right? So that's what you should do. Of course, if I go play the game and I have no idea how to play the game, I have to learn a little bit. Well, what are the commands, right? And then I can start. Same thing for everything else, right? You have to learn a little bit, enough for you to get started. Once you get started, then you can learn more, because now you're doing something. Now you're activating your neurons. Now you're forcing yourself to try to solve the problems. You're making mistakes, right? Because you're trying to learn. So that's what Teresa asked here. I agree with the continuous improvement. However, it takes some time to get into a topic. How can you focus on some problem for just 5 minutes? Do you have, okay, all right, so Teresa, so let's talk about the 5 minutes in a minute. But very important, right? Of course, it takes some time for you to get into a topic, right? It takes some time for you to learn something enough, but it's just a little bit of time, right? A lot of people, they want to read the whole book, right? Or they want to learn everything about Java, or they want to learn everything about containers to start doing anything. No. You start doing first, and then you figure out what is the next step. You do enough to figure out the next step. All right? We do enough to figure out the next step. Teresa, I'm going to leave the 5 minutes here for a minute, all right? Because I want to talk about other things first before I come back to the 5 minutes part. All right. So let me go answer some more questions here. That's all I want, right? I want to answer as many questions as I want, as you want to ask me. So people who start coding late in their age, over 40, right? They're late for programming. No, Luca, that's a good question. No, why? Because even after you're over 40, you can still grow neurons. That's an awesome thing. Your brain is very plastic, right? And so you can grow myelin. Myelin grows in your brain until you die, right? Until you die, you're still growing myelin in your brain. So you can put myelin in the right neurons. Doesn't matter what age you are. So yes, Luca, it's totally okay to start after 40, right? That's not a problem. Jakey says, I started programming when I was 31, right? So that's awesome. Fully qualified lawyer and did this. So that's awesome. Congratulations, Jackie. So yes, I totally agree with this. I started at 44. Your brain's hungry for new experience. Go for it. Exactly. Because your myelin, look, we learn it in school, right? That the neurons don't grow. If you lose a neuron, there's not going to be a new neuron in place. And that is true. After a certain age, your brain doesn't create new neurons, but your brain creates new connections and myelin, right? So you can use the neurons that you have, they're already there, right, to create more myelin and create new connections to start programming. So that's totally fine. You can do it after 40, no problem at all. Let me see here. Can we consider learning to be a stage to get skills? Let's say read some Java books and start to do things until you forget it. Okay, so no. Very careful, Vitality. So yes, learning is a stage to get skills. Yes, you're right. But then you go in your question and you say, let's read some Java books. No. Read one paragraph of one book and you start doing, right? You start doing as soon as you can. Do not read some Java books. It's not going to help you. Do not even read a full Java book, right? Read the first example and try. Start with the minimum thing you have. is start doing as soon as you can, Vitality. That's what's going to make a big difference, right? Find a mentor is the best way to improve your skills, in my opinion, right? Okay, I'm gonna talk mentor later. Okay, mentor is a great way here too. I'm gonna save it here for later. Okay, so Vitality says, yeah, then you never stop the learning phase, right? So yeah, so don't do this. Don't ever, you gotta, the learning has to be mixed with the practice. You learn, mix it with the practice. Okay. Okay. So yes. So yeah, okay. So don't, we can talk more about how you can read websites a little faster if you want that, right? Okay, cool. So lots of smiles. So why do textbooks exist? All right, Alan, that's such an awesome question, Alan. Man, look, this is like a really really awesome questions, Alan. So let me tell you, there is a curse, of teaching, a curse of training that's very complicated, Alan. Look, think about it. For you to get skills, you have to activate the neurons, right? And you have to force it, right? But to force it, you have to make mistakes. And when you make mistakes, how does that work? It's frustrating, right? When you make mistakes, man, this is frustrating. And so if it is frustrating, you don't want to do it, right? You have to force yourself. Now, let's say you buy a book, Alan, and that book is, it's a frustrating book. You're reading the book and you try the examples and you make mistakes. It's frustrating. Or you go to a training at a school, for example, and you try things and you make mistakes. It's frustrating. So what happens? You complain about the book. You complain about the training. You say, that's a terrible training, right? It's frustrating to go through it. So what do trainings and books do? They do it in a way that's not frustrating, right? They do it in a way that you don't make mistakes. And if you don't make mistakes, you don't force your brain, right? And so you like the book. You say, oh, that's an awesome book. Oh, that's an awesome training because I was able to do everything. And then you go home and you have no skills. And then you have to go somewhere, right, to get these skills. You have to do a real project in your life, right, to get the real skills. Make sense? Right? So that gets completely crazy. So that's a paradox of teaching. You have to make it interesting enough for people, and by making it interesting and easy for them to learn, you're not forcing them, so you're not helping them get the skills. Isn't it crazy? Right? So that's completely crazy. And so it's good for you to know that. Once you understand that, what happens then it's better for you, because now you can choose how you learn, how you acquire your skills. Make sense? So most tech books come with company code to follow by doing. So the problem is most people just read. They don't actually do things, right? Most people just read, they don't actually do things. All right, so that is complicated. Okay? So that's very important that you go and do things. All right? So let me ask one thing. For me, it looks like there's a delay on the stream. Can you guys still hear me well and see me well? No problem. I'm just gonna continue here because for me it looks like the whole video is kind of slow motion here for me. All right. So bottom says how you don't forget what you learn it, right? If you're not working with it, so that's the biggest problem. Bottom, you gotta keep doing. You gotta keep insisting, right? You gotta keep working on it. If you stop working on it, you're gonna lose it. Rule 3.1: you stop, you lose it. So you can't stop. You have okay, all cool. All right, thanks, Luca. Thanks, Christina. All right, so if you stop, you lose it, right? So don't stop, right? You got to be refreshing everything. All right. Okay. Awesome. So how do we refresh things, right? Okay, we're here loud and clear. Okay, I talk very loud, right? So maybe you have to turn down the volume a little. So basically, the way to do this is refresh your skills. So let me give a very simple example here. Very, very simple example. Most musicians, when they start practicing, right, what is that they do? The first thing they do in the practice, when they're going to play the piano, when they play guitar or play the piano, the first thing they do, they play a song that they're familiar with. A lot of them, they love this one they love, so they play that. When you play something that you're familiar with, what do? You activate the right neurons, right? You activate the neurons. You poof, your brain kind of flashes on the right neurons. And when your brain flashes on the right neurons, you activate them, right? And you activate them, you refresh the pathways. You refresh everything. So that's a good thing, right? So that's why we do code katas, for example. When you're going to start practicing, a easy way for you to do a little code kata. Refresh your brain, refresh the fundamentals, right? That's why it's important for us to do code katas, right? Because then we refresh the for loops, and refresh the language features, and we refresh the collections, right? Because then it flashes our brain, we activate the right neurons, don't forget, right? So that's an awesome way to do that, right? So do you know learn in public? What do you think? Mainly is explain what you're learning to others while you're studying, even if you're a complete beginner. That's awesome, David. That's very, very good. Why? Why this is very good, David? Because when you explain look, when you're reading something, when you're just learning and reading something, or watching a video, or watching a class, right? You are activating the neurons of watching. You're activating the neurons of reading. You're activating the neurons, a little bit of the neurons of the learning too, right? Of the doing, a little bit, but not much. Now, when you teach one something, the only way for you to teach something is that if you know how to do it, right? So when you're teaching something to someone, you are actually doing, so you are indeed activating the neurons of doing. So yes, David, it's very important. So there's a phrase I love to say. You think that you think when you think, but the truth is you only think when you speak. You only think when you share. You only think when you only think when you try to explain to someone else what you're doing, because then it helps you activate the right neurons. So that's an awesome way, David, to do that. Yes, I totally agree. Even if you're a complete beginner, right? You can teach others, complete beginners, to do that thing, right? Okay, so last question I can see here. I'm going to talk about mentoring in a minute, Hugo. I just want to mention two more things before I talk about mention. And I'm also going to talk about motivation. All right, so Nadia and Hugo, let me just kind of quickly go here. One more thing. So I don't have a lot of time. I have about 10 more minutes. So one thing that I would love to do is I'd love to give everyone a book. Before I go, I want to give everyone a book. Why I want to give everyone a book? So if people can put my book there on the screen, that would be awesome. Why do I want to give you a book? Because there's two things that are going to happen, right? If you download my book, you're going to get my contacts, right? So you can talk to me if there's any question that I didn't answer here. You can send them to me and later on, and I can answer over email. But the other thing is that I'm giving you a book that has the 4 steps for you to take action. So people that are asking about motivation, for example, this book is really going to help you with motivation, because it's going to show you the 4 steps that you need to take action, right? 4 steps for you to do things. Okay, so that's an awesome book. And actually, I'm going to also put here on the chat, right? Why they put this on the screen? I'm also going to put here on the chat the link for it. And all right, so if you can go here on the chat, or you can see on the screen as soon as they put there in the screen, and then we're going to see, then you're going to be able to see the book. Maybe they're not going to be able to put it on the screen because I forgot to send the images for them earlier on, so I'm not sure if they're going to be able to do that. But if not, it's on the chat, right? You're going to have my book right there for you guys to download, right? Let me know if the links works, right? So, okay, so now let me talk a little briefly about a few things here, right? So we're talking about, we're talking about learning, right? And skills. So now you understand how to get the right skills. You understand how to learn the right way, right? Now, think about being better. How can you be better? For you to be better, right? What you have to do is you have to apply your efforts on the right skills, on the most important skills. If you apply if you apply your efforts, if you activate the neurons for the most important skills, that's how you get better, right? Should we read the whole book? Just the path. That's awesome, Sergey. That's why my book has just one paragraph. Really, right? My book is not about reading. It's about asking questions. I ask a lot of, so my book is all about doing, right? My book is going to ask you lots of questions for you, right? For you to improve your, right? So that's my book has very, very little. It's a very short book. It's going to take you less than 10 minutes to read it. It's a very short book, but if you start answering the questions, right, you can use that book for months to get everything going for you in your life, right? So it's a very, very short book, and you're totally right, Sergey. The whole idea is not to read the book; it's actually do the things the book tells you to do, right? So that's the idea right there. Awesome question. All right. So for you to be better, you got to go after the right skills, right? The most important skills. So how do you know which one are the most important skills? Well, the most important skills are the ones that give you the results you want. Very, very important. You can't really acquire skills if you don't have a clear focus. What is that you want for your life? What is that you want for your career? What is that you want for your family? What is it you want in terms of money? If you don't know exactly what results you want to achieve, that's very, very hard for you to decide which are the most important skills for you to achieve those. Make sense? It's not about doing everything, guys. It's not about doing, learning everything. It's about deciding what are the most important results that you want. Once you know exactly what results you want, so, I want a better job. I want I want some better thing. So hey, Chris is already here. So hi, Chris. Awesome that you're here. So you're talking next. So you guys got to stay here because Chris Richardson is going to give the next talk, and his talk is totally amazing. So that's awesome. All right. So it's really, really important that you know exactly. And there's one thing. A lot of people are afraid of focus, right? A lot of people are afraid of focus. Why they are afraid of focus? For one thing, it's very scary, right? It's what we call FOMO. FOMO. FOMO is the fear of missing out. The fear of missing out. So that fear, oh man, but if I focus in one thing, I'm going to miss out so many other things, right? So that's the fear of missing out. So instead of the fear of missing out, that's not what we're wanting. We want to have focus, right? Now, the most important thing, why people are afraid of having focus. They're afraid of having focus because they think that having focus is, oh, but Bruno, if I focus on Java, then I'm never going to learn Kotlin. And that's not focus. Java is a tool, right? So having focus in Java is like, you're asking someone to come fix your roof, and the guy says, oh yes, I'm going to fix your roof because I'm an expert in hammers. You don't want to hire an expert in hammers to fix your roof. You want to hire an expert in roofs to fix your roof, right? So it's not about the tools, it's about the problem that you solve. So it's not about the tools, it's about the results you want. So you got to think about the results. All right. Okay. With that, I think that we never get. I don't think we ever got the image for the book here on the stream, but at least you guys get it in the chat, right? I can actually put the link here on the board here while I'm answering the last two questions, right? How about this? I'm just gonna put the link here. So it's jav.mn, JavaMan, right? That's me. jav.mn slash all in small letters, right? All in small letters slash best year. Okay, right? So if you come here, jav.mn, JavaMan, that's me, right? Slash best year, that's where you're gonna get the book. So I'm gonna leave the link here while I answer the last two questions here so we can get all the questions answered. I really need to fix my roof. Okay, awesome. All right. So let me ask questions here. So someone 5 minutes a day, right? 5 minutes a day. It's an awesome way for you to 5 minutes a day is an awesome way for you to start doing anything, right? But Bruno, 5 minutes a day is not enough for me to do things. Yes, it is. 5 minutes a day, it's awesome for you to create a habit, right? The most important thing is you create a habit. Once you have the habit of doing your side project every day, once you have your habit of of doing a code kata every day, once you have a habit of doing things every day, you're already halfway there, right? Because the most hard thing is motivation, right? Motivation, that's what someone asked there. How can I have motivation? Motivation is not going to take you very far. Motivation is very, very energy consuming, right? So it's not about motivation. It's about doing every day. So doing 5 minutes a day helps you create the habit. Once you have a habit of doing something, then that's going to change your life by itself. All right? A great thing. Where can you find a coach? If you want to, you go send me a message and then we can talk about it, or come to the question and answer that we're going to have in 2 minutes, and then we can talk about where you can find a good mentor and coach. But let me tell you one thing, Hugo, in terms of mentor. Mentors are the best way for things. Why? Because mentors are going to force you. Mentors is going to challenge you. Mentors is going to help you barriers more, then you can faster achieve what you want. So that's an awesome way. And you can have mentors by reading a book. Let's say you're gonna, Chris Richards is gonna come here, right? You can say, okay, let me read Chris' books, and I'm gonna follow what Chris is saying. I'm gonna do what Chris is saying. So that's a way for you to have a mentor. Come here, ask questions on events, talk to people online. That's awesome, great ways to get mentors. A lot of interviews ask theoretical questions, also ask topics which do not exist and will exist in their projects I'm interviewed to. Should I learn certain topics just for the interview, or should just skip such companies? So Dimitri, let me tell you, you have to know enough about what's going on to understand the process, right? So that's important. It's important that you have a general understanding what's going on. But you, Dimitri, have to have a focus. So go after the companies that focus on the problems that you want to focus. So remember, focus is about the problem that you solve. Once you know what problem you solve, then you can go after companies that want that problem solving. That's how you go after the best companies. All right. So Yuri said, amazing speak. Thanks a lot, Yuri. The best speak for a long time. So if you like this speak, if you like the talk, go vote for it, right? So they invite me again so we can have more time together. So that's awesome. Okay, so go vote for it. A lot of positive energy, was awesome. Thanks a lot. Thanks, everyone. All right. So don't forget to vote on talk. That's all Oleg's talking about. Focus on something takes me 30 minutes to get concentrated. So let's talk more about this in the question and answer. I think that's going to be better. Download my best year, because that book is going to help you focus even faster than 30 minutes. All right. So that's by 40. That's the end of my talk. So thanks everyone. Thanks Oleg for the invitation. Thanks everyone for being here. And I'm going to go to the question and answers right after this. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruno. Thank you so much for this energetic talk. We are very excited here after your talk. So, and dear participants, the link to the book is published in the chat, and we will publish it once again now. So yeah, go download it and follow the Bruno's advices. Yeah, thank you so much, and please join the Q&A Zoom room and have more discussions and more questions to Bruno. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
You so much.
It was awesome. Thanks for the opportunity, and thanks for running this awesome event that you guys are doing. Keep doing it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you. See you next year.